Hello and welcome back to my hardcore Minecraft world, where last episode we built this absolutely stunning animated redstone waterfall right in the side of the cliffs we built the episode prior. Now today's project is going to be a much different pace. See, today we are finally going to be getting back into some larger scale projects to really shape our world, something we haven't really done in a little while. Most of our recent episodes have been adding finer details to larger scale projects we did in our first 1000 days, so it is really going to be a lot of fun to get back to these large scale projects. However, large scale projects do take a lot of time and effort, so we better go ahead and get to it, shall we? Now, real quickly here before we actually get to work, we need to talk about a couple of things I did in between episodes. So, first of all, if we fly up into the sky here, as I'm sure many of you can notice, the cliffside has expanded in this direction. So this right here is where the cliffs were at the end of episode 8 and episode 9. But over the course of a couple of streams, we expanded it out to here, and then we did even more and expanded from here all the way out to the end, which is now over here. So we easily gained a couple hundred blocks worth of cliffside over here. Looking absolutely wonderful. There's still a lot more to go. I would like to get this all the way down river at some point, but little by little. Also, we went ahead and added a couple of cliff jumpers over here. So we've got two buddies over here jumping off the cliffside. So we've got this one dude who's obviously a little timid, a little nervous, never done this before. But we've got the boots over here of the friend that jumped. And then of course we've got the friend that jumped, just like having the time of his life. And for that extra little detail, I decided to have his hat flying off of his head. So you can see that right there. I did make a YouTube short about this, so some of you probably know about this already, but in case you didn't, there you go. I absolutely love this guy over here. It looks absolutely incredible. I love the hat detail. But yeah, that's what I did in between episodes. Nothing crazy, just a little bit of work. So now it's time to go ahead and talk about the resources we are going to need for today's project. You see, today's project is going to be one that involves both a lot of work, but also a lot of storytelling. You see, we need a way to honor the gods in this world. Down in the fishing village, we already have a fountain as a way to honor the goddess of the sea, but we don't actually have a place of worship. Not only to worship the goddess of the sea, but the other gods of our world. So today we are going to build a mighty cathedral up atop our cliffside to honor all of the gods. And to do this, we need some incredibly blessed resources. However, before we can go ahead and collect those resources, we need to go ahead and gear up. Now, in order to actually get geared up, I had to go ahead and obtain one of these, which, mind you, that was my very first time fighting a raid in Java. It's just as terrible as it is on Bedrock, so not that you guys care, but it's pretty terrible on both. Anyway, now that we have obtained this, we can go ahead and toss it in an anvil, and by renaming it to the Holy Cross, we now have ourselves a Holy Cross, which, when put in our offhand, will allow us to get geared up. So let's head over to the statue of our goddess of the sea over in the fishing village. And when we place this in our offhand, we will all of a sudden get geared up. All right, you ready? Here we go. Now, as we bear the holiest of equipment and bear the symbol of the king, may we begin our quest for materials. The first material we shall acquire will be stone. However, no ordinary stone is fit for the gods. To acquire a stone fit for the gods, we must venture beyond our realm, to a place where time doesn't pass and the sun does not shine. We must venture to the end of the universe. So that's just what I did. At sunrise, I sailed from the kingdom to uncharted lands. I traveled across great fields and treacherous cliffs until eventually I found it, the gateway to the end of the universe. Once through, I got to work collecting only the most worthy of stones for our cathedral. And once completed, I once again made the treacherous journey to return home. Now that I have returned home from the ends of the universe and have acquired all of the timeless stone that we will possibly need for this cathedral, right here in these shulker boxes, we can go ahead and plop all of this down. Now with all of that timeless stone collected, it is officially time to collect birch wood. And I only know of one place where we can acquire the purest of birch wood. Here in our kingdom reside some of the most skilled lumberjacks in the entire world. And here on Main Street, we can order all of the purest birch wood we could possibly need for this project. So let's get that order placed, and our order should be here in roughly 2 weeks' time. I am happy to announce that the Royal Lumber Co. has officially delivered all the birch wood we will need to construct our cathedral for the gods, and of course it is all of the purest quality. Now for our final resource, we still have to obtain glass for all of the stained windows. But of course, no ordinary stained glass is fit for the gods. You see, legend says that long ago, back when the gods walked the earth, they blessed a sacred desert with eternal light, a place where the sand glimmers like stardust and hums with divine energy. Only glass forged from these sands will catch the gaze of the heavens. Thankfully, one resident of our kingdom still remembers the path to this sacred land. Using this map from the Glass Forger, we can now find our way to the sacred desert, where we can then collect all the sand we will possibly need for our cathedral. All right, everybody. Well, we officially have collected all of the resources we're going to need for today's project. And oh boy, is that a whole lot of blocks. Absolutely absurd, the sheer amount of stuff we have here. I don't think I've ever seen this many resources in one place before, but it is going to be so incredibly worth it. Now, I'm sure many of you are wondering where our cathedral is going to go, and I'm happy to announce it's going to be sitting right over there. However, fun fact, this is a very, very large build. This cliffside here is actually in the way, this little hill. So we have to go ahead and level off a decent chunk of it, probably only to about here. We don't have to do the whole thing, but about half of it is going to go. So before we can actually start building, we have to real quickly do a little bit of a landscaping time lapse. So using the power of the gods, let's go ahead and real quickly make this cliff disappear. Well, would you look at that? Half of that hillside over there is now just completely gone, looking absolutely wonderful. Well, I suppose not looking wonderful, it's just a giant, flat, ugly section now. However, there's now plenty of room for us to make it look wonderful. And, most importantly, plenty of room for us to go ahead and install our beautiful cathedral. Speaking of which, that is our next step. So now we can finally go ahead and use all of those resources that we spent so much time collecting and start constructing our cathedral to honor the gods of our Minecraft world. So without any further ado, I believe it is time to go ahead and construct this kingdom's official place of worship. Guys. So I was just working on this here. Okay, don't worry about it. I was going to show you that in a clip in just a second, but look what just spawned in down here. Look at what just spawned in down here. I have never seen this. I knew this was possible, okay, but it's never actually happened to me before. I need to... We got to make sure he stays alive. We got to get this guy in a boat, because this is really cool. Yeah, I've never actually had this happen before. Like, I knew it was possible, but it's never actually occurred. No, don't hit my armor. All right, we gotta get this guy safe. Once he's in a boat, I don't have to worry about name tagging him. Let's get him over in this kind of open area here. Look at that! That just naturally spawned. That's... I don't know what we're gonna do with him, but we're definitely gonna have to do something with him. So guys, down below in the comments, please give me some name suggestions for this guy, because he is 100% gonna become some sort of an important figure in this world. I'm not sure how yet, but oh, yeah, we got to get out of here. But he's definitely going to become some sort of an important figure. So please name suggestions down below. Let me go ahead and finish this, and then we can take a look at that. I am happy to announce that the cathedral is officially completed, at least from the exterior. As you can tell, I've also spent some time to go ahead and put some paths in. I'm so incredibly pleased to finally have these areas of my world connected. I've also just gone ahead and put a bunch of paths and landscaping around the cathedral. The paths now connect to all the different entrances. They aren't perfect, they need a little bit of tweaking here and there. And just this general landscape around actually needs finer details. It's just a flat surface right now that I put in place to actually just, you know, not have a giant crater and a floating build. But yeah, the exterior is completed and looking absolutely magnificent. Of course, when you walk inside, there's nothing here yet, so we do have to go ahead and get started on the interior. Now, I have spent some time collecting a few resources just to get ourselves a floor and a ceiling in place, so we can go ahead and get started on that in a minute. But I just want to real quickly take a little bit of time to fly around and just let you guys really see some of this build. There are built-in walkways like all over this place, so down here you're able to come up to the second story and walk around outside. You can walk through all of these buttresses. Yes, that is the technical term. I made sure to do a little bit of research. You can walk through all of these, and then here is where you would come back in if you went in from here. There's also another section that you can walk on up here above the main stained glass rondel window. I don't have a way set up to get in there yet. You have to actually come in through the top. Once we have an interior, you will be able to actually access these, but there's no interior yet, so the stairs to get up here don't work because they don't exist. But yeah, you can come up here, you can look out over our beautiful, beautiful world. You can look through these windows up here. And then in order to actually connect this to the inside, we'll put a hole somewhere in this wall and connect up the staircase. But yeah, that is the cathedral, guys, looking absolutely magnificent. I'm so incredibly pleased with how it has turned out so far. So let's go ahead and get started on that interior, and I'll bring you guys back once we have a basic floor in place. Well, I am happy to announce that I have a pretty solid section of the flooring in place, looking absolutely magical. I cannot believe just how vibrant these stripped wood blocks are. We got the warped, we got the pale oak, and we got the mangrove, creating a nice intricate pattern on our floor. As you'll notice, we don't have these side sections in yet. I wanted to get the entire floor in place. However, I think we need to go ahead and put in the ceiling before I can continue with the floor. Simply because there's going to be columns that come down probably here. I think I have to redesign the ceiling a little bit to remove this strip. And I need those columns to be in place before I can do this floor to really figure out how it's going to connect to this and how these rooms are all going to merge together and create one big space, you know? So real quickly, let's go ahead and get the ceiling in place. And from there, I should be able to work out these other inconsistencies to really just make this place finally all come together. All right, everybody, there you go. We now have a ceiling in place, and this entire thing is looking absolutely wonderful. I've gone ahead and mapped out a little bit of like a wall section here. So what I'm thinking is this will all be closed off. There'll be a little archway or like a walkway in here. You can come over here to get to the main walkway. Same thing on this side. Now, these moss lines here, this is not going to be like a solid wall. These are going to be arches that are going to come up one block out from where this window is, and it's going to frame the window. I haven't yet decided if I'm going to do like identical to what I have on the outside, or if I'm just going to leave like a general arch. But there's going to be some sort of an arch on every single one of these windows, and that's going to be along this line here. And then once we have these arches in, we will go ahead and fill in the floor. We'll put arches around these smaller windows down here, and then we can do that on the other side, and we'll kind of have this section pretty much finalized. Of course, I'm going to have to do a little bit of work back here. We're going to have to build in these walls, but once that's done, I think we're going to put something right here, and this section will be completely finished. And then, of course, we'll have to do this, and these two side sections here are going to need some work. I didn't do the ceiling on the side sections yet, because I don't exactly know how that's going to line up with the arches on the side section. You see, the arches on the side section are going to be a lot tighter than over here, of course, because it's a much smaller space. So since I didn't really know how that was all going to line up, I just didn't touch it yet. Mojang, why are spore blossoms so incredibly difficult to get a large quantity of? I ended up getting about 50 spore blossoms before I started this, just so I'd have some for extra for future projects. Mojang, please make these things farmable. It was over an hour and a half to get 50 spore blossoms. Why are these not farmable? Mojang, please answer my cries. Now, because of where I placed some frog lights when putting in this roof, this thing glows at night. So, you guys got to see this. First of all, I put some around the main roundel window in the front. So this thing now glows at night. You can actually see the colors in the glass. And I put some above every single of the upper windows on the sides. So they also glow all the way down on both sides. Again, on the part that sticks out here, there's no glowing yet because I haven't done those windows. I haven't done that ceiling yet. We will get to that. One of my favorite spots to look at this thing at night is from right over here. It's just beautiful seeing it glow at night. Of course, the landscaping is not great from this angle, but one day it will be an absolute picture perfect frame of art from right there. Anyway, let's go ahead and get back to work. We're going to now go ahead and work on those arches I was talking about. And hopefully we can pretty much finish this section on the main hallway up to this intersection point right here. Well, there you have it, everybody. Looking absolutely wonderful. We've gone ahead and, of course, installed these arches here. So all of these windows are now framed out the exact same way as on the outside. The arches come down to make, an arch. And then in between the top of the arch and the windows, we now have a stripe of pale oak signs and birch buttons. So it just helps to break it up, add a little bit of decoration to these walls, looking absolutely magnificent. Over here, we've got a little section where we're going to have seating, so you can sit all the way in the back at an elevated point. And then other than that, there's going to be chairs all the way along the gray, chiseled, tough floors right here, going all the way along. So I, of course, have to put in the chairs, but other than that, this area should be completely finished. Over here on the walls, I've gone ahead and framed out the lower windows, and then I added just this little chiseled in section just to try and add some depth and break up the build. So you can walk all the way down here, where I've, of course, finished off that wall. So everything is nice and enclosed, looking absolutely wonderful. Walking in here, this is one of the rooms on the side entrance. And of course, it can connect to the main entrance or just down this hallway. Here's the main entrance, of course, and then on the other side, it's just the exact same thing. All the windows are nicely framed out. You got the arches. Very symmetrical build. And wow, does it look absolutely magnificent. But yeah, like I said, other than the chairs, this entire section of the cathedral is 100% completed. I have no real intentions of adding much more to this. I think it is completed. I might try and add something just to fill this space, maybe more candles or something up here. I'm not sure what, but this does feel a little empty. In the cathedral I used to base this off of, there were flag posts coming out, and the flags were hanging into the middle, so maybe I use hanging signs to do something like that. I'm not entirely sure. We now have to go ahead and work on these three sections here. So the plan is to complete both of these side wings just to kind of have these finished. And then once those are finished, we will come back together to focus on the final section of the building, which of course is going to be this rounded end back here, where we're going to have to put up our stage and everything with the lectern for our priest to read off of. But that is going to be, of course, after these side wings. So let's go ahead and get these completed and looking absolutely beautiful, shall we? I am happy to announce that I have completed the cathedral. Well, not 100%, but we will talk about that in just a moment. So if we go ahead and land down here, like I showed you before, we of course have these rooms here. But as you can tell, I did a bunch of work. I know I said I was only going to do the archways and whatnot, but long story short, I got carried away and just kind of didn't hit record. So here we are. Looking absolutely beautiful. As you can see, I put in all the benches going all the way down. Now, this cathedral is based off of the Washington National Cathedral in Washington, D.C. So it has this barrier here once you get halfway, so the back end is blocked off by these beautiful wooden sections. Now in real life, they're a lot more elegant than this, but it is what it is. They then have seating sections here. I'm not entirely sure who is supposed to sit here. Maybe these are like important people. Then you'll come over here, and this is the like stage area where you would have the priest doing their readings. I used some armor stands to get 2 of my totem crosses up here. And then I went ahead and put up a giant banner of the king's logo. Now, something that I've been thinking about is where to put our holy armor. We have been wearing this armor throughout most of the episode as our like holy guide. And let me go ahead and real quickly deactivate my cape. This is what we've been wearing through most of the episode for our holy, armor and whatever. And it's quite a nice set of gear. So I would like to feature it somewhere in the cathedral. I'm not sure where. I'm thinking either over there or like up there in place of the cross might be a really good spot. Now I'm going to take this off because I need protection for what we're about to do. Now, as you're aware, we have this beautiful ceiling in place. However, there is this giant tower over here. Now, I don't know what I want to put in this tower, and we're not going to really figure that out today because this video has to go out in 8 hours, and I do not know what I want to put up there. I'm not going to figure it out in 8 hours. But what I am thinking about is how to get up there. So what I've done is set up this little thing here. So these trapdoors we can open to go in and out. I'll have to raise them up to this block so I can redstone open and close them. And I'm thinking about installing some sort of a redstone wind charge launcher in the floor. So you click something, the floor opens up, and you just get shot into the ceiling. And then all of a sudden, you're in the tower, and we can probably do 4 or 5 floors up here. Again, I'm not sure what I'm going to put up there. Maybe some sort of a villager trading hall, maybe some little hidden storage room or something. I'm not sure. Let me know down below what you think should go up there. But like I said, this video does need to go out in about 8 hours, and for me, it's midnight over here, so I gotta go ahead and get this thing finished. I am going to use some of those armor stands that I have used all over my world already. Like, for example, down here in the fishing village to get these people just all over the place. So I'm going to use some of those to get people sitting inside of these chairs. I'm not going to have it completely filled up, of course. Don't want it to be too laggy, but we're going to get some people in there. We're going to get some people in these chairs, and then you guys are going to have to let me know down below what you think I should do for the priest. I have a couple ideas. It could be an actual priest villager. It could be this diamond armor zombie that we found naturally spawning earlier in the video, or it could be just a random armor stand. You guys are going to have to let me know down below which one of those 3 you like, or if you have a better idea, please let me know because I might like it more too. Anyway, let's go ahead and add the finishing details to this cathedral so that we can go ahead and finish this project off.